Scorpio. Welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol. And Scorpio, this is going to be a general reading for November 2024. And in today's reading, we're going to be doing the Yellow Cardinal Cross. And it's a reading I've done before on this channel. It's one of my favorites, actually. And so if you're interested in getting a personal reading done, and you can actually ask for this reading, there are about 6 or 7 of them that I have on offer right now, and I will leave the link for you in the comment section and the description box below, and that'll take you to my website, Carol Cares, and it'll take you directly to the page where I have all my readings listed and the prices are there. So I would love to do a reading for you, so you can take advantage of that if you want. And so in today's reading, I'll be using the Ehrenberg Tarot and the Tarot Vintage. And so I'm going to get started right away, and I'm going to start off by pulling out the 2 cards in the middle. And I'm going to ask the tarot right now for 2 cards, 1 or 2 cards. And let's start off with the issue and see, what card it gives me for that. If it gives me a second one, then I'll use that as the clarifier, or the what's obscuring your issue. All right, so we have the King of Cups for the issue, your situation, pattern, struggle that you're dealing with right now. And then let's have a clarifier, or what's obscuring this, or what's blocking this. This is going to give you a little bit more information on your situation. You have the 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords. All right, so, and then what I want to look at is what is the conscious influence on this issue? Which means, what are you aware of that's going on with this? And yeah, you're totally aware of it, what's going on right now. So let's just have 1 card for that. And it's going to have some kind of influence on, what's going on. It's going to tell us some more. Not sure it wants to speak. There we go. The 6 of Wands. The 6 of Wands. And then over here we're going to look at the unconscious. And this is going to be the unconscious influence. Now, this influence right here is going to be your shadow. And so it's going to have the biggest impact on this situation right here. It's something that's coming up from healing in your childhood, from your teenage years. It's something you've repressed, you've put away. You don't even know what it is because it's hidden. It's in your unconscious. And, I've been on this healing journey for 7.5 years, working with my own trauma coach to heal my complex PTSD that I did not know I have. And so all my memories were repressed. And it's absolutely incredible for me to find out what's sitting in my shadow that I have repressed since childhood. So, that is what will drive all our relationships. Everything in our life is what's sitting in our unconscious. It's not our conscious, it's what's sitting right here. And that's why, this whole channel is about the healing journey and going inward. And so let's look at what's coming up for healing right now from your shadow that's impacting and driving this situation right here for 1 and 2. You have King of Wands, another king here. King of Wands. All right, so on the top, I'm going to look at what's needed for resolution. Now, you are going to get some guidance from the tarot as well, but up here it's what's needed for resolution. So what is needed in this, this situation to resolve this issue right here? And so the tarot will give you like sort of a general I mean, it's specific enough, but it's like a general, it's not going to be a specific thing that you need to work on yet, but it'll be a general idea of what's needed here. And they're giving you the Tower. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to get some clarifiers for that. So let's see what's going on with that. And then, and the Tower card doesn't come out that often, so it'll be interesting to see what the clarifiers for that is. And then guidance from the Tower. Guidance from the Tarot. I've got that Tower on my mind. Sure you do too. Guidance from the Tarot. There you go. The Ace of Cups. Well, okay. The Ace of Cups. Now, you know, this, I'm not going to give you, the Tarot's not going to give you this, a miracle, a magical cure for what is needed here in this situation. But I will tell you something that is definitely going to give you, you know, this is a journey that you're on, and it'll give you that little step that you need in order to, especially if this resonates with you, in order to start to heal this. And it's a process, like I said. So, you know, the answer here you have in you already. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know. But sometimes we just need help with it, you know, like I have my own trauma coach that helps me with my own, you know, retrieving my memories. There's something for me coming up right now in my own stuff, which is why I am clearing my throat quite a bit right now before this reading. I already had to shut off the camera once, actually, so I apologize. When I do this, there's something that's coming up from my own stuff. So, yeah, this will be something very, I mean, it really will be helpful for you. And I will also give you some videos at the end. And that's going to really help you with focusing on what you need to do. And there's going to be some really good videos to help you that will actually be related to the issue and actually what the tarot has for your guidance. Now, these videos will be taken from Carol Cares, which is my other channel. So, let's get some clarifiers for these. I'm really anxious to see what comes out. I still have that Tower on my mind. Okay, so let's clarify the King of Cups in this Two of Swords right here. One or two cards for clarification. Got one here. And two. Okay, so you got the Page of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles. You got two Pentacles here to clarify those two. That's your situation. Yeah. In the third spot, you have the conscious influence. One or two cards to clarify the Six of Wands. Cards wanted to come out, but try this again. One more. There we go. This Four of Wands has come out so much in these readings. Okay, the Lover's card and the Four of Wands, and that's what you're aware of here. And King of Wands. Some clarification for this. I hope I make it through this reading with my throat. I think I'll be okay. There's one. And one more. Maybe two more. Well, it's interesting that you have the Justice card and the Ace of Cups. Well, I say it's interesting because oftentimes what's sitting in your shadow for healing, will come over here, which is the guidance, guidance from the tarot, and it's the Ace of Cups. So it wants you to, that's the first thing it wants you to focus on, is this Ace of Cups right here. And that happens more than I can say, actually. Okay, let's go up here, and we're going to ask for some clarifiers. Let's say a couple of clarifiers for this Tower. What's the tarot want to say about this Tower card? For Scorpio who's wondering what this means. One more. The Empress came out bent. I crushed her in half. I should say I folded her. I didn't crush her. All right, so you have the Empress. And you have the Two of Wands for the Tower card. Ace of Cups, a couple cards here. Second time for the Two of Swords. You have it for your issue. You have the Two of Swords in reverse and the Queen of Swords in reverse right beside the Ace of Cups. All right, let's get started. What issue are you dealing with? Situation, problem. Well, you start off with the King of Cups. The Kings in my deck, and you're going to see there's some Queens here. Then you have the Empress. The Kings are your ego self in my deck. You have a masculine side to you, and you also have a feminine side. We have two sides, two aspects of us. Has nothing to do with gender, but the masculine side is our king, and it's our ego self. And it's that part of us. Excuse me. The ego self is very much a part of us that is, we as humans will believe that is our true self. It's not our adult self. It's not our higher self. But oftentimes we confuse the, where certain ideas are coming from in our head, and we hear things and we believe it's like what we truly believe, when our ego self can really come forward and trick us and fool us into believing that it is our adult self, our true self. So we have to be really careful right now, because, and you have to be really careful right now, Scorpio, because your ego is out right now. And that's the part of us that is absolutely petrified of emotions. They think that going near emotions are it's going to eat us alive. And so it'll do everything in their power to keep you up in your head, because that is where the ego is, and that is where it's safe. Emotions are in our body, and so the last thing the ego wants you to do is to go inwards and get back into your body, to ground and get back into your body, because then you're going to feel some of your emotions. And so it'll do everything in its power to distract you and keep you up in your head. And then we think that's us, that's who we truly are. And it's not, because we haven't gone into our body to feel. And it's through feeling that we heal, and then we become, we find out who we really are when we start peeling away layers of it. So it's clarified by, like I said, your ego self is out, and it's clarified by this Two of Swords. And so I'm seeing you in a position here where you have absolutely crossed your heart, crossed your heart with these two swords, and even put blindfolds on to not have to deal with anything, including your emotions. You have totally shut off your heart. You have totally shut off everything to do with getting back into your body. and, you know, getting into some of those, you know, emotions, like I said, and getting into, like, in your body is really the feminine side to us. And that has, you know, things like our intuition, our inner guidance. That's what the inner intuition is. Emotions, authenticity, creativity, and it's all there. But you've shut that all down, and instead you're staying up in your head. And because like I said, the ego will keep you up there because it's convinced that it's the safest place to be. Why? Because when you were really young and things happened to you, this is your shadow right here when you were young. When things happen to you, traumatic events happen to you, your ego self was the one that took over. And it brought you back up in your head. You stay there because those emotions could not be felt by you when you were younger. And so the ego protects you. It still thinks that it's back in childhood to protect you. And that's why it's so important to get out of our heads, because we're not in childhood anymore. And I'm not sure why I went into that. That was a little bit deep, I think. And I haven't really given that kind of spiel before, but I'm honest with you, like, I don't know if I've got that deep before. So for some reason I was kind of told to go there. So that's where I went with you. There is here what's coming up here for you. And, you know, I know that maybe you may be aware with it, but there's this, you have an inner child here. You have a page. Pages in my deck are inner children. Now, mainstream psychology likes to say we just have one inner child, but I've been on this intensive healing journey from my own complex trauma long enough to know that I have more than one inner child, right? Because they'll hold different memories and different emotions. And this particular inner child is the Page of Pentacles, and the pentacle is all about the body. It's all about the body. And it's all about, believe it or not, when you were 4, 5, 6 years old, that's the age of this inner child, this page right here. And they knew, they were grounded. Kids are grounded at that age. You know, it's when we were told, when we start to get told things and things happen to us, is when we become ungrounded. Like I said, it's when the ego self kicks in and tries to protect you and keeps you up in your head, because children, if they were to stay in their body, they can't handle those emotions, and emotions live in our body. And so you have a part of you that became quite ungrounded when they were younger, and they have something to share with you. They have emotions. They have emotions to share with you. They have memories to share with you, and they want to share them with you. They want to be heard. They need to be healed. They hold big emotions like shame, grief, anger. And so you have an inner child that's coming up for healing. And I need to pay attention to that in this whole reading, because it's very important. Very important, because that's going to center around the healing of this inner child of yours that's coming up. Because this inner child here, here's a Four of Pentacles that comes behind it. Four of Pentacles talks about holding on to things, the Miser card, attaching, these attachments that they want to hold on to, right? And so I'm seeing here that there was some issues with attachment, and you know, that can come up when you don't have supportive people around you, and you don't have you were not validated when you were younger. And so that's coming up for you right now, to almost like there's some sort of, these attachment issues are almost coming up right now in your life. And you know, they're going to show up in your relationships. They're really going to show up in your relationships, and maybe you know why and how it's happening right now in relationships, where these attachment issues of holding on to people, holding on to the wrong kind of people, being around people that don't support you, don't validate you. And that's where you're realizing that, well, this little part of me that keeps calling in these people really needs healing here. Now, I did forget to mention the overriding energy, so I'm going to go back to it right now. So I'm just going to leave this right here, and I'm going to go back to this card right here at the beginning that I usually announce at the beginning. But this is your overriding energy, the Four of Wands. And I took this card from your January 2024 yearly reading, and I pulled 12 cards out for one for each month of the year. And I pulled, in November, you got the Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands is a card of these people. It's a celebration card. They're walking away from this walled city. You know, they've had this plan all along, and they're finally, you know, getting some freedom here. And it's a card that comes in for November to say, look how far you've come. Look how far you've come. You know, you've come this far, like to maybe, you know, you've been on this journey for a while, and you know, you could be sitting, I mean, I see you right here where you're very blocked, and I call it my controller, but I use ego because that's mainstream psychology, but to me it's controller is very much out, and very blocked and not wanting to feel. And I'm wondering if you just really shut down right now, where you're just, you know, almost like this attachment person just really just wants to hold on to themselves, you know, just really frightened maybe. Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's just this child that's coming up that's very frightened in you. Maybe you have some fear inside of you. And I think, you know, sometimes because of those feelings, those big feelings that come up in our system, especially fear, I'm wondering if, you know, I need to tell you, you know, look how far you've come. Look how far you've come. And we need to remember that on this journey, because we need to remember that we were scared maybe once before, or we've dealt with depression before, or we've dealt with anxiety before, and we've overcome that. And you know, so we need to remember that. So let's look at right now, what is the conscious influence on, you know, this shutting down of your emotions. And because of that, there is a child here that you can't hear that needs healing. Well, you have the Six of Wands right here, and the Six of Wands has all my sixes in my deck have a duality to them. And in this particular card, on the surface, it looks like there's a victory going on. Here's the victory wreath right here, and that's the giveaway, right? There's one on his head, and there's one right here on the top of his wand. This is an individual that's just coming back from some kind of a battle, and he's won. He's you know, he's victorious, but the other side of that is what has he lost? What have you lost? And I think you're sitting here with, you know, I'm wondering if you're feeling right now some loss. Sometimes we can feel very lonely on this journey, and maybe that's why we shut down, because that's just these feelings that are coming up are very strong. When our inner children are knocking at our door, these emotions that are coming up are big. They were too big for you when you were younger, but they're coming up for you right now to feel because you're an adult. And we forget that part. And so I'm seeing here that there's some grief. What have you lost? There's some grief here that's coming up. And the next card is this Lover's card that comes out, which is very interesting. It's again, it has a duality to it. It's number 6 of the major arcana, so it's a universal force here of these two figures. And I want you to look closely at these two figures. You have this feminine figure here who's looking up to the divine here, whether it's the creator source, you know, whatever you want to call this higher power here, this angel figure, and looking for direction up here. Right? And then you have this masculine figure who's not even looking at the feminine, who's looking straight ahead. And so this is a depiction of, call it the Lover's card, but it's a depiction of the feminine side and the masculine side that we all have. And I just talked about it with the King here. So it's very interesting that you start off with being in your masculine side, which is your head. And yet you're all closed off, and yet you have this grief that needs to be felt, and you know that. So there may have been something that happened to you. I mean, there is a tower moment here, and now I'm starting to understand here. There's a tower moment here, and what's needed for resolution is, I'm going to say right now, that this tower moment that you have just experienced, whatever it is, and we'll talk about what a tower moment is, has some grief to it. So, and you know that because the grief is right here. The Lover's card talks about the masculine side and the feminine side. And if you notice, the feminine is looking up, like I said. So the feminine will get her power, if you want, her energy, her from a bigger source than her. That's our feminine energy. And it's very much blocked in pretty much all of us. It's been blocked for, years and years. And she's been repressed. And yet she has the most powerful knowledge, the wisdom in her. The masculine only sees it only sees what he sees, right? Which is what he sees in his conscious, and that's what's going on with you right here. That's all you see, is what the ego is allowing you to see. What the ego does not want you to see is that you have a feminine side. And this card is coming out right now as a sort of, to tell you, the universe is kind of saying, listen, Scorpio, you have another side of you that you are totally blocking right now, which is your feminine side. And you are only whole, lovers coming together to be intimate and vulnerable. And you are only intimate and vulnerable with yourself. This is an invitation to be intimate and vulnerable with yourself. But in order to do that, we have to reach that feminine side of us. We can't just have half of this. You're only a half of a person right now. You have this other side of you that needs to come out. And so here's the Four of Wands coming out, which is interesting because that's your overriding energy. And that is, if you look at this card closely, I talked about it being as looking at, look how far you've come. But look what, this is the masculine, and here's the feminine. They're dressed in the blue and the red right here. They don't have the colors on this one right here, but here they do. Here are the two sides of you. Here are the two sides of you in celebration. Look how far you've come. And I'm wondering if something happened, I'm wondering if I'm getting it now. I'm thinking, because I'm going to move to this tower moment right now, which is what's needed for resolution. We got to go back to this tower moment, what's needed, because you've completely shut down. There is an incredible amount of grief that has happened to you because of this tower moment that has already happened in your life. So it's not something that's going to happen. There is something that you've just had like this major life transforming incident that has happened in your life. And that is what the tower moment is. A tower moment comes in for us in our life, and it does not come often in my deck. I will say that it comes in reverse. It doesn't come like this, like full force because it's a huge life-changing event. And for me, when I've had a few tower moments in my life during my healing journey as an adult, where I've had some red flags come along, and sometimes I just needed to go into a different direction. The universe said, it's time for you to go in a different direction, and I'm going to give you the biggest baseball bat from the universe, and here you go. And it leaves you, you think it destroys you. When I had a certain tower moment, I'm thinking of it, it literally, I thought, destroyed me. I mean, I wanted to the point to take my own life because it was so painful, so painful. And I'm wondering if this is what's happened here. I'm wondering if you've shut down, and because there's some grief here that needs to take place. And believe it or not, this tower moment that's come in and all this grief behind it is related to this little page right here, who also, when they were younger, I don't know what's in here, what's in your shadow, but would have faced an incredibly painful tower moment when they were younger, because patterns repeat ourselves. When we're adults, we will repeat certain things because we need to go back. The universe is trying to remind us what happened to us when we were younger to heal. And so this is something that's happened to you when you were younger. And it happened to you now as well. And so you need to grieve. But you've shut your ego self has shut it right down. Does not want you to touch that grief. If there is one emotion, if I had to pick one emotion, the ego self is petrified of all emotions, but if there is one that it absolutely will block you from feeling, is grief. And that's why we have this double shutting down right here. The Two of Swords and the King here is just, we're not going there. It's like, no freaking way. It's like this huge wall of grief that you cannot even imagine touching. I love grief. Believe me, I have my ego self that comes out every time I have to get to grief. It'll come out and it'll block me. And it's not something that I want to block, because I know what grieving does for me. It opens up so much more in my system for new stuff to come in. And I love to grieve when I'm grieving. And once you hit the grief, you go, well, that was nothing. But it's the ego self in you that will block it because it's petrified of it. That's what's happening. And so here you have the Tower right here. And so that's what's needed for resolution is we got to look at that Tower moment. What you have to go back to what just happened to you in your life or recently. And there's some grief there. And the Empress comes in here to help you out a little bit. Now, the Empress is the third card in the Major Arcana. And she is part of the feminine energy or aspect of ourself. She's the second half of it. The first half is the High Priestess, which represents our intuition, which is a beautiful quality of the feminine side. This is the Empress here, and she's in reverse, and I'm not surprised. The Empress is pure emotions. She lives in her body. She loves the body. She loves her emotions. She feels all her emotions, and her whole life is like she's guided by what she feels. You know, what she feels in her gut, and she's blocked right now, and so. She's blocked because you don't want to go into your body. And the Empress represents the body. And you need to get back in your body. You need to ground. You need to ground your mind. You need to ground and get back in your body. I'm going to definitely suggest a playlist on grounding right away, because I'm seeing that you need some help with grounding so you can get out of your head, you know, and get into your body. Because here's the Three of Wands. There's a plan. There's a plan here to take you in a different direction. That's what this Tower moment came for in your life. Tower moments come from the universe to take us into different direction. The universe has a beautiful way of saying, no, you're off path right now. Like, we're always on the right path. When it comes to our healing, like every single one of us on this earth is on a healing journey, but we don't all know it. But there are times when we need a different direction. It's like, no, you need to change course here. And that's what happened to you with this Tower card. And you need to grieve what happened to you. And you need to get back in your body. That's the resolution, because there's a new direction for you. There's a plan for a new direction for you. The Three of Wands says there's a plan, right? 2 says, whoa, there's a little nudge. Three of Wands says there's a plan for you. So, what is the guidance from the tarot? What do you need to do right now? Besides, obviously, grounding has come for me, but, well, the Ace of Cups comes here. And the Ace of Cups comes in and it says, here's an offer. Here's another chance for you. Maybe you've been doing some grieving on and off, you know, if it's something that obviously has been quite if this is a real big change of circumstance, life-changing event for you. And this could mean, you know, maybe it's time to grieve, or maybe it's time to go a little bit deeper here. And sometimes we say to ourselves, I've already grieved. I have grieved this, and I've grieved it, and I've grieved it, and we're still holding on to it. And I know people can grieve and grieve and grieve for years. And I mean, personally, I grieve, but I really grieve, and I know when I'm done grieving. And then, you know, I can think I'm done, and then it'll come up again. And I grieve some more. And so I have layers and layers and layers and layers of grief. It's like a spiral. We go deeper, and we grieve again, and we go deeper, and then again, and you think you're freaking done, and you know, I'm fed up, you know. But it's like, look how far you've come. But here you're being asked again. You're being asked to take this cup again, because there's more healing. There's more grieving to be done. And here comes the Two of Swords in reverse here. The universe wants to open up your heart again. The universe wants to turn this around for you, because right now you're like this. You know, you're not willing. You're not willing to, like you're closed off. You're not willing to look at any of these emotions. But the universe is saying, you know, I want you to open up. I know there's a huge fear around this to open up. I know there's a huge fear, but the universe wants you to face that fear and go towards that grief. And here's the Queen of Swords. And here she's the Queen, right? So we bumped into the Queen already. We talked about the Empress. I thought we had another Queen here. We had the Empress and Queen, King. Oh, I guess that was the first Queen. Well, we talked about the King being the masculine side, and the Queen, and the Empress is included in this. She's our feminine side. So she's, like I said, the part that's often repressed in ourselves. And she's the Queen. In this case, she has the sword. Queen is all about authenticity as well, another beautiful quality of ours. But she is blocked right now. Your true self, who you really are, and where you're supposed to go, is ready to come out. But you need to get grounded. You need to go back into your body. The Queen always lives from her body, and she holds your truth. She holds the sword of authenticity in who you are. And this person that you're sitting with, all blocked and shut off from your emotions, that's the young person that you were when you were younger. And because this Tower moment has happened to you, it has really triggered this younger part of you right here that needs the healing. And you can heal now for this child that couldn't heal when they were younger. You can feel this grief at a deeper level for this child that couldn't feel it when they were younger. And so I want to give you a playlist on grieving. All right, Scorpio. And then I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. All right, take care, Scorpio.